And what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV today. The industry has changed over the course of the last decade very drastically, and we are going to be taking a look at some of the wrestlers who are instrumental in bringing the industry from where it was at the start of the decade to where we currently find ourselves today. These particular individuals would impact professional wrestling so much that it changed the game forever, earning these men the distinction of being one of the most important wrestlers of the decade. And we are going to talk about it right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's most important wrestlers of the decade, end of the year special, end of the decade special. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Whether you love him or you hate him, there is no denying that Triple H is one of the most important wrestlers of the last decade. His in-ring career is simply legendary. And over the last 10 years, he has continued to add some very impressive, very great performances to his in-ring resume. But that's not why he is even being considered for this list, and you, as a viewer, know exactly why he is being put on that list. It is because of three little letters that have become the gold standard in professional wrestling, and those letters, of course, are NXT. 10 years ago, you wouldn't have thought it. You really wouldn't have thought it. When you thought about NXT, you thought about a stupid sideshow, entertainment-based, ridiculous segment that they put on Raws and SmackDown to test people after the Tough Enough thing went off the air and they had stars trying to earn their stripes by acting like absolute clowns in these NXT segments. But Triple H would take that and turn it into something that would change the face of professional wrestling. At the beginning of the decade, Triple H was still running strong in the ring. He teamed up once again with Shawn Michaels in order to take on Randy Orton and The Legacy. He would go on from there to be in the end of an era match in 2012 with The Undertaker in that Hell in a Cell finale to that epic feud between the Dead Man and the Heartbreak Kid. Absolutely fantastic stuff. He would follow that up with taking over for Vince McMahon as the boss, as the head chief in charge of things in the WWE, which ended up to the formation of the Authority, which is something that got Seth Rollins over like gangbusters, broke up the Shield, and he would continue to feature himself in WrestleMania main events opposite men like Daniel Bryan and Batista and Roman Reigns, just to name a quick few. He won his 14th World Heavyweight Championship in this decade. And it is all very impressive as far as it goes, as he has still been in the ring doing his thing as the Game. But, of course, as we made mention already, the best brand in sports entertainment was born. And this took place throughout the entirety of the beginning of the decade. It was a slow build. He closed down FCW, rebranded it NXT, changed it from a joke into a legit developmental system. He had the Performance Center built. He was bringing in William Regal. He teamed up with Dusty Rhodes and is largely responsible for the development of most of the main eventers we see on screen today. He's brought in talents like Shinsuke Nakamura, Asuka, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler. He is the person that brought all of these things to the WWE. And just the gift of NXT alone. It gave us as fans a show from the WWE that didn't drive us absolutely crazy. They took 1 hour and gave you more passion, more emotion, more wrestling than you would get in the 5 hours combined from Raw and SmackDown. And this is the man that spearheaded that movement. You can't take it away from him. NXT is a global phenomenon. It drove the business to be better. And sure, you know, when the NXT talents come up to the main roster, that's your proof as Triple H being superior as far as his thoughts and his ideas and how he presents his athletes than Vince McMahon. It gives us hope that one day Triple H is going to take the reins and right the ship that has been in such a wrong direction for so long with Raw and SmackDown. NXT is your proof of all of this. The man has been one of the best bookers in all of professional wrestling. You could hate him for all kinds of things. You could hate him for the way he got there, for marrying himself into the family. You could hate him for never putting over superstars in the moment where he probably should have. You could hate him for continuing to put himself in WrestleMania after WrestleMania after WrestleMania, beating guys like Sting. There are all legitimate reasons for you guys to hate on Triple H the wrestler, but Triple H the businessman, Triple H the head of NXT. He's proving also that he is what he says he is. He calls himself the Game. There is nobody better at the psychology of professional wrestling than Triple H. Sure, he had help in the beginning from guys like Dusty, but even after Dusty Rhodes was unfortunately taken from us, Triple H continued to thrive in that role. And even when Vince raids his roster from NXT and takes all his top talents, he takes the next crop and makes NXT even bigger and better than before. The formation of the NXT UK, which is responsible for bringing us talents like Pete Dunne and Walter and Rhea Ripley and Tyler Bate, just among many others. Even Aleister Black made his debut as Tommy End in NXT UK. This is all thanks to one man's vision of what professional wrestling should be. And NXT is regarded by many to be the best brand in the business. It's no surprise that it would earn its way over the course of the last 10 years to a network television show. It's now live for 2 hours every week on USA. And sure, it's not quite the same as it used to be, but it's still the best show of the week, for the most part. The ratings may or may not reflect that, but I don't care about ratings. As a wrestling fan, I care about the quality of the show, and NXT, as it stands right now, as we are getting set to move forward into the new decade, is the premier brand in sports entertainment. And who's at the head of that brand? Triple H. That is what places him on this list. That's why you can't argue it. If you love NXT, you cannot deny that he belongs on this list. Like I mentioned, it's not that you can't hate the man, but you have to respect him, especially if you're a fan of his brand. There's no denying, you can't argue it. It might not be the most popular entry on the list, but he's changed the face of professional wrestling. It gives us something to aspire for the main roster to become one day. Vince McMahon is probably going to live forever somehow. I don't know. He may outlive each and every one of us, and we may never actually see that day come. But there is so much more than even just NXT that qualifies him to be on this list. He brought back the tournament format to the WWE. We had the Cruiserweight Classic, the Dusty Classic, the Mae Young Classic, the When Worlds Collide Tournament, the return of the King of the Ring. All of these things came out of the mind of Triple H. What do we get from the Mae Young Classic? We got Kairi Sane. We got many talents from the female side of things. The Cruiserweight Classic, the same thing, though it ended up blowing up in his face with 205 Live being a complete and total failure, but that's not Triple H's fault. That's because it was taken by Vince McMahon and driven into the ground. And yet, the Cruiserweights still thrive. And the Cruiserweight Championship is now property of NXT, and it's never, ever been better. This is the future of professional wrestling. It changed the face of the business, and you have to give credit where credit is due. NXT not only changed the WWE, but the entire landscape of wrestling. Many wrestlers want to sign with the WWE with the intention of going to NXT. They don't really want to be on Raw or SmackDown anymore. They want to be where the best in the world are doing their thing. Just to be part of NXT is a special thing now. Look at all the talents that came from there. Look at all the talent that is there developing right now. And then you have talent such as AJ Styles, who never stepped foot in NXT. And even all these years after being heavyweight champion and after being the house that AJ Styles built and all of this, he still wishes that once he would have been able to go through NXT. Because it's a special place. It's more than just a developmental system now. The Performance Center is the developmental system. NXT, although it's being billed as the third brand, is the top brand in all of sports entertainment. AEW's nipping at its heels just a little bit, but we all know, undoubtedly, NXT is the future. Triple H is at the head of that ship, and that is why he is one of the most important wrestlers of the decade. Thank you guys so much for watching part number 2 of our continued series highlighting some of the most important wrestlers of the decade. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Even though you might not agree, maybe you don't like Triple H, but you still should like me, and you should understand where I'm coming from, because everything I said is fact, absolute fact, and you can't argue any of that. Also, don't forget to share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if this list has got your interest and you want to share it with all of them and see what their opinions are. I want to know what your opinions are, so don't forget to hit me up in the comments section down below. And you could try out the all-new YouTube feature by hitting that applause button. See what that does, and if you feel like you want to do it, do it. If you don't, don't. It's really an option that's just there for you. There's many ways for you to support the channel, most importantly by being a subscriber. Hit that subscribe button right now and hit all notifications on your phone and on your desktop. This way you don't miss a thing as we continue counting down. Well, it's not really a countdown, but as we continue listing some of the most important wrestlers of the year before 2020 hits our way. Plus, you don't want to miss the one and only Monday Night Raw review and the SmackDown reviews and AEW reviews, where the hammer comes down like nobody else can do. The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show is always in full effect and ready to drop the hammer and dole out those poop hammers everywhere where they're deserved. And you could get yourself a Poop Hammer t-shirt right now at bonfire.com/store/sledgehammer-tv, where the most deadliest and just disgustingest weapon in the battle against disgusting wrestling television, the Poop Hammer, only to be found here at Sledgehammer TV. And of course, if you want a Sledgehammer TV logo t-shirt, it is available in red, blue, yellow, orange, and black, all representative of colors of the wrestling rainbow. Choose yours now, bonfire.com/store/sledgehammer-tv. Thank you once again for being a part of this special that I've been doing, and I hope to see you here for the next one, which might actually be the most controversial on my list, and you don't want to miss it. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that like and that share, and thank you guys as always for coming out. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the Team Thor, the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue, the Snowball. The most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you. That is going to do it, and we are out of here. And we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com.